Hi, everyone, and welcome to this next episode of Navigating the Storm. Last week, Janine and I spoke about what I do, why I do it, and now this week, we want to share with you Janine's story, what she does, why she does it, and ultimately why we are collaborating together to help all of you. So, hi, Janine, again, as always.
Hello, Annette. Good to be here with you.
Yes, thank you. We're moving through this. So let's just dive right in. Last week I told everyone what I did, and now we want to hear what you do and why you do it, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is such an exciting collaboration to do with you because there are so many things that are just, completely interlocking. I, from my side, helping people through narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships, I've had my fair share.
Yes,
I've had enough. And, growing up and raised by a narcissist, and, the limiting beliefs, the crazy making mind stuff that, you're trying to reason out, but you have no reason. Now, in saying that, growing up with narcissistic abuse, there really wasn't any help for it. People weren't talking about it. It wasn't a subject, it was there. And so there became a lot of gaslighting. Well, this is just happening and just let that go. And what's wrong with you? And it was always pointed back to you. And it wasn't until, hey, I'm pushing 60 here. So it wasn't until, maybe 5 years ago that all of a sudden, like you say, and I think you even said these words in one of our previous videos it hit me. I've seen the word narcissist, but not really paid attention to it. And then all of a sudden it came up and it hit me and I'm like, wow. And I started recognizing so many things that had happened. And it was just like, boom. It was more like fireworks going off, like, not just a bell. It was fireworks going off. Like, okay, wow, I get this. But I didn't know it was a thing. It was, wow, this is a thing. So I am okay, and then you kind of start trying to unravel everything. So going through this, and of course, growing up with narcissism, it was my familiar territory. Of course, I attracted more narcissists in my life and had the pleasure of marrying one and marrying and divorcing. So it was a short marriage. It was my second marriage. But I got to say, I wish at that time that I had known that there was such a thing as a divorce coach. We are going back quite a few years. This is 2009.
Yeah.
And again, didn't understand that I was with a narcissist. And even though we tried couples counseling and people are telling me, no, you got to do this, it was like, but you don't get it. You don't get it really what's getting on here. And sometimes because it's so clouded that it's really hard to articulate to other people what's going on behind those doors. And because the narcissist on the other side of the door has a completely different facade, and that's what they're seeing. And so they can't believe that there's this, kind of monster behind the closed door when you're trying to tell them, and it makes you sound like you're the dramatic one and you're making it up. And, so it is so hard. And it's so hard to fight the battles. And I didn't have the strength or knowledge at that time going through this divorce. And we were pretty high net worth, and I didn't even take a fork. We had a lawyer for a little while. Again, it felt like everything was over my head. I didn't know what I was doing. I could still be manipulated. Because I still hadn't gone through any healing on my own. I didn't know what this is about, didn't do any work. So I didn't know. And I ended up walking away. Now, I was a single mom with 2 kids, and they were in their teens at this time. I'm responsible for them. But I walked away. We had 5 houses, and I signed them all over to him and walked away without even a fork.
That hurts my heart every time you say that. It just hurts my heart.
And time to rebuild, and I did. Okay, so survivor. But the beautiful part is, because I went through that, I don't want anybody else going through that. There is an easier way. There is a way to heal the wounds from the narcissistic abuse and go through a divorce and come out the other side whole.
And yes,
Not, you know, just flat out broken. And there's a part of it too. And so with my coaching, I do the recovery and the empowerment, because also once you come out of the divorce, it's kind of like, I describe it like bringing home your baby from the hospital, your firstborn, and you walk in the door and you go, now what do I do?
Now what?
What's the first thing I'm supposed to do? I don't know. I've never done this before. And so coming out of a narcissistic abusive, you got the divorce done and everything is good. And now you're kind of going home and you're going, well, now what?
Now what
Because
do I
you still carry those programs and everything that was instilled in you from the narcissist. You still have that. You still have the resentment. You still have the anger. You still have a lot of things to work through. But that's what we're here to help with. And
yeah,
so that's why I think that this is such a beautiful partnership between the two of us, because going through a divorce with a narcissist, we've both been there.
it's mind-blowing.
I still don't even have the right word for it. It's mind-blowing, but it's kind of a little bit more than that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's just a light word that comes to my mind.
Right?
Oh, it's so true, Janine. And, you know, I like what you said about, I am okay. Like, even once you get through that hell,
Yeah.
you can say it. You will be able to say, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I may have some work to do. I may have some healing to do, but I can do it. And, you know, you talked about looking back at 2009. Yeah, mine was like 2010.
Yeah.
The word narcissist, it was just not really in anyone's vocabulary.
No.
Gaslighting, all of that. And now it just seems to be all around us.
It is. And interesting, I heard that in 2022, gaslighting was the most Googled word.
Oh, you know what? I do remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Because everybody was throwing that word around and wondering what it is. And I'm sure there were many people, women like us, I'm sure men as well, going, oh, that's what that, oh, I think maybe that's me, or maybe that's my partner, you know?
Yeah.
And
Something's not right here. What is this? You know, and
not right.
we get curious. And I think we are in a time of being more curious, and a time of seeing ourselves maybe for the first time. There's so much talk about self-care and self-love and all that, but we kind of need awareness of what's going on in our environment, and what are we involved in if this is not comfortable. And you know, narcissists can be, there's a spectrum, and I use that word as traits, that these people have narcissistic traits. We can't diagnose them. I'm not saying I am, but there are narcissistic traits, and there are some that could be kind of mild, and then there's some that are more severe with the rage, and
Yeah.
that's a whole other picture, right?
Well, and for myself, you know, you said you didn't know about divorce coaching, and we certainly never heard of a coach that would help you through narcissistic abuse, especially if we don't even know we're going through it. We don't even realize it. I remember my marriage counselor said to him, brought the word narcissist up, and I was just like, oh yeah, I know what that, I think I know what that word is, but I'm really not sure. And but like you said, you know, you start to research and you go, oh dang.
Well, I kind of thought, I don't know what I'm allowed to say here, but I kind of thought the word narcissist was kind of like another word for a-hole, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, you know.
Go hand in hand.
But no, it's much more than that, right? It's much, much more than that. And, you know, even if they're I mean, being honest here, we all have narcissistic traits. But they're not destructive, you know. We all have an ego, okay, cool, but it's not used in a destructive manner. And so even if you're divorcing someone that may have some narcissistic traits or a very low grade, whatever, a divorce coach is really, really important, because I think women walk away too often. I know I'm not the only story of someone that has walked away because it just couldn't handle what was going on. And I don't want women to do that. You know what? No, we have a voice and you have support, and you've got someone that's going to catch you. You've got a safe place. and you're talking with people that have been there. So you don't have to defend yourself anymore. You don't have to explain what you're going through anymore. Oh my gosh, we get it. And I think that's really, really big. And I think there's a lot of women now. I do want to make it clear. Actually, I work with women and I work with men too. And I'm just finding that the men are actually starting to reach out now because they're learning also more about this, and they can be victims too. And it's often the shame, and because nobody else understands me, how can I go get help? I have to, how did I not know this was going on? There's a lot of stuff we put on ourselves. But I just want to encourage anyone that's listening to this, if this is, resonating with you in any way, don't let that stop you from getting the support that you need.
100%. So with that said, Janine, I want to know if you can condense it. Where do you start when someone comes to you and says, I'm trying to get out of a narcissistic, abusive, toxic relationship? And that might be I'm sure that's like deep dive into it, but what would be the first thing that you would tell them?
The first thing I'm going to tell them is I'm not going to tell them anything actually at the moment.
Okay.
Let's talk about it. Share with me what's going on. Share with me the experience. There's so much that can come out in that. Some people can't leave.
Yep, fair enough.
Some can't leave. It's financial. It's, it could be a fear of, they're going to take my kids away from me and I'll never see my kids again and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of fear there. I think the most important part is having that support. We can come and talk, tell your story, get it out, don't hold it in. And we can get into another video on that because there's a whole bunch more of how it affects you when you hold in all those emotions and stuff.
No, that's why I wanted to ask the question, because there's so much that we can dive into.
Oh,
both sides of what we're doing.
Yeah.
That this is, again, it just explains how the universe brought us together.
Yes.
For a reason. Because as you said before, Janine, we're here to help, because we don't want anyone to go through these this storm that they're in. We want to help them out of it.
And we were both certified professionals. So, and I think that's important. It's important to the part where that's great. But even more important is we both walk the walk. And I think that's what really makes the huge difference. Several of my clients have said, I've had a therapist doing talk therapy. It didn't even touch the surface of what her and I had been through. So it's a whole different process, and it's a whole different level of support because we have been there. Yes,
because how many times have you talked to a client and you were like, oh yeah, felt that before. Yep, saw that before. That happened, and oh, by the way, this will happen too. So
exactly,
it's almost like you can say, but be aware, because this might happen next. So yeah,
there's a lot of validation that comes with that, and then there's a lot of a little bit of peace that your body can actually sit and relax in. Yes. The interesting thing is, and here's what I got kicked onto too when I first found narcissistic abuse. You realize it and you go, wow, this is a thing. Okay, it's not me. There's a huge amount of validation that comes in, and it's a bit of a rush, and you kind of go, wow, for the first time in my life, I'm feeling this. I need more. And so you get on the Google, right? And you Google, you listen to videos. I encourage that because knowledge is power, and you need to, understand what you're dealing with. But I think that there is a limit to that. And at some point, and the reason I say that is because you're listening to the videos and you're going, yeah, that happened to me. Yeah. And you recognize things that validate your experience. But while you're validating that experience, you're getting that hit, but then also you're reliving that trauma in real time. So you keep bringing that back and you keep bringing that back. So yes, you're getting the hit, but you're not going to move forward. You're not going to be able to get to the place that you want to get to. So eventually when you kind of, okay, I know what the narcissist is, it's time to kind of stop and then look at it and go, okay, where can I get the best help just to move forward from this? So, and I'm sure the same with you. I mean, when we're talking divorce, we're talking to lawyers, I've done this myself, right? And you're Googling and you're going, but what's my right on this? What's my right on that? Am I entitled to this? Am I entitled to that? How do I deal with it? How do I find the right lawyer? What am I looking for? All that stuff you can help with, but also
Yes.
with that emotional support, which is so important because it is an emotional experience.
All of it, all
Yeah.
of it. And even like you said, sometimes people can't leave the narcissistic relationship, or maybe they can, they just don't realize it yet. And
Exactly. Yeah, maybe there's a way that we haven't thought of.
absolutely, it's a process. It's a
Yeah.
process.
But there's
So
so much hope out there. Yeah.
yes. Well, again, everyone, I hope this explains more to all of you why Janine and I are here doing this together.
Yeah.
We met and it was an instant connection and an instant, oh my gosh, we need to come together as a team, individually coaching, maybe coaching together, but we are just building momentum here.
Yeah.
And
we want to look at and see what are the needs for those that are reaching out. Do they want us both?
Absolutely.
Do they want one or the other? And all of that is workable and doable, and we've got you. So
yes, we will get through this together with you.
And Annett, so people can find you where?
The best place to find me is at livelifenowwithpurpose.com, my website. It has everything I offer right out there, email address, contact me through there. And you, Janine?
Yes, and I would say the same, my website, which is JanineFulla.com, really easy. And on there too is how to get a hold of me. You can send me a direct message. And also check out the resource page. I have a bunch of resources on there. And if you're looking for Annett, she's on my resource page, and you can just press the button and you go right to her website. So we've made it really easy for you.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Janine. It's always so great talking to you.
Wonderful to talk to you too, Annett. Thank you so much. See you again soon.